The conference room stretched as far as the eye could see. Thousands of alien delegates filled the seats, their voices creating a low hum that never stopped. Above them, holographic displays showed star maps and trade routes that connected hundreds of worlds across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Daewon Park walked slowly down the central aisle. His black diplomatic uniform was simple compared to the elaborate robes and armor worn by the other species around him. Behind him came 3 other humans. Hana Kim wore her military dress uniform, her face calm but her eyes constantly scanning the room. Taeyang Lee carried a data pad. His young face showing nervousness he tried to hide. Jiwoo Choi walked last, her scientific mind already calculating what would happen today. They had made this walk many times before. For 15 years, Earth had sent diplomats to this place. For 15 years, they had asked for the same thing, equal membership in the Galactic Union. The humans reached their seats at the very back of the chamber. This was not an accident. The Galactic Union placed species according to their status. The mighty Valkyrian Imperium sat at the front, their reptilian bodies draped in gold and silver. Next to them, the Mothrak Collective's insect-like delegates clicked and chirped to each other. Further back sat hundreds of other species, all ranked by power and influence. Humans sat in the last row in the smallest seats, like children waiting to be noticed by adults. The Supreme Chancellor called the session to order. His voice boomed through translation devices that everyone wore. We gather today to address the human petition. Again. Laughter rippled through the chamber. It was not kind laughter. A Valkyrian ambassador stood, his scales catching the light. The humans want full membership. They want voting rights. They want to be treated as our equals. He paused, letting the words hang in the air. But look at them. One small world. No empire, no vast fleets. They have been in space for barely 200 years. My species has traveled the stars for 20,000 years. More laughter. Hana Kim's jaw tightened, but she remained still. The Mothrak representative spoke next, its voice like breaking glass through the translator. We have been generous to the humans. We have given them technology. We have allowed them to trade with us. We have let them live on the edges of our great union. They should be grateful for what they have. Daewon Park listened without expression. He had heard these words before in different forms from different mouths. The message was always the same. Humans were inferior and they should accept it. However, the Chancellor continued, we are not unreasonable. We have prepared a new proposal for the humans. A holographic document appeared in the air above the assembly. Earth may remain in the Union under these conditions. Jiwoo Choi read the terms quickly, her face growing colder with each line. Humans would become a protectorate species. They would have no vote in Union decisions. Their military would be limited to system defense only. All human technology would be shared with the Union immediately. Human colonies would be restricted to their current systems, with no expansion allowed. Human trade would be taxed at 40%, while other species paid only 10%. In exchange, the Union would protect humanity and allow them to continue trading. These terms are generous, the Mothrak delegate said. You give us your technology, we give you safety. You obey our laws, we let you survive. It is a fair trade. Taeyang Lee's hand trembled slightly as he set down his data pad. He looked at Daewon Park, waiting for the signal to respond, to argue, to fight back as they had done so many times before. But Daewon Park was very still. He stared at the holographic document, reading it slowly. The chamber grew quiet, waiting for the humans to beg, to negotiate, to compromise even further. Daewon Park stood. The movement was slow, deliberate. He gathered his papers and placed them carefully in his case. Then he looked up at the thousands of alien faces watching him. Ambassador Park, the Chancellor said, do you wish to discuss the terms? No, Daewon Park said simply. His voice was quiet, but the translation devices carried it to every corner of the vast chamber. There is nothing to discuss. He closed his case with a soft click that seemed very loud in the sudden silence. Humanity accepts your decision, he continued. You have made it very clear what you think of us. You have shown us for 15 years that you see us as tools to be used, not partners to be respected. The Valkyrian ambassador laughed. Finally, the humans understand their place. Daewon Park smiled, but it was not a happy smile. We understand perfectly. That is why, effective immediately, humanity withdraws from the Galactic Union. All agreements are ended. All treaties are void. All cooperation is terminated. The laughter stopped. You cannot be serious, the Mothric delegate said, its voice rising in pitch. You need us, do we? Daewon Park asked. He gestured to Hana Kim, who stood and spoke in a clear, strong voice. All human military vessels are hereby recalled from Union space. The Outer Rim defense perimeter will no longer have human support. Our peacekeeping forces will return home within 48 hours. We wish you luck with the pirate raids and the Krillic swarms. Ji Woo Choi stood next. All human scientists are recalled. All collaborative research is ended. All human-designed technology will require biometric authorization to function. We estimate that 30% of Union infrastructure relies on human systems. Those systems will no longer receive updates or maintenance. Taeyang Lee stood last, his nervousness gone, replaced by something harder. All human trade stations will close. All human merchants will return home. All human agricultural exports will cease. All human medical personnel will withdraw from Union hospitals. The chamber erupted in noise. Delegates shouted in hundreds of languages. The translation devices struggled to keep up. This is madness, the Chancellor bellowed. You will not survive outside the Union. You will come crawling back within a year, begging us to take you back. Daewon Park picked up his case and turned to leave. His three companions followed. As they walked down the aisle toward the exit, angry voices chased them, but none of the aliens tried to stop them. At the door, Daewon Park paused and looked back one last time. You had 15 years to treat us fairly. You chose not to. Now you will learn what you have lost. The doors closed behind the humans with a soft hiss. In the conference room, the shouting continued. The Valkyrian ambassador waved his clawed hand dismissively. Let them go. They will be back. They need us more than we need them. The Mothric delegate agreed. Humans are nothing without the Union. They will learn this lesson quickly. The Chancellor nodded and moved to the next item on the agenda. The human problem, they believed, had solved itself. They were wrong. In the hallway outside, Hana Kim looked at Daewon Park. Do you think they understand what just happened? Daewon Park shook his head slowly. Not yet. But they will. How long? Taeyang Lee asked. 3 months, Ji Woo Choi said quietly. Maybe 6. That is how long before everything starts to fall apart. They walked to their ship in silence. Behind them, the Galactic Union continued its business, unaware that it had just signed its own death warrant. The humans had walked away. Now the galaxy would learn what that truly meant. The news spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. Humanity had withdrawn from the Galactic Union. On 1,000 worlds and 1,000,000 spaces stations, aliens heard the news and laughed. The humans were throwing a tantrum. They would be back soon enough, humbled and desperate. But on those same worlds and stations, other things began to happen. Things that were not funny at all. On Trade Station 17, a massive commercial hub orbiting a neutron star, the morning shift arrived to find all the docking bays dark. The control systems had shut down overnight. The station master, a 4-armed Grellic, stared at the error messages scrolling across his screens. What is happening? He demanded. His technical officer checked the systems. Sir, the docking control software was designed by humans. It requires human authorization codes to operate. Without them, it has locked us out. Override it. We cannot, sir. The humans wrote the base code. We never learned how it actually works. We just used it. The station master felt something cold settle in his stomach. How many ships are waiting to dock? 342, sir, and more arriving every hour. Trade Station 17 was not alone. Across Union space, 27 major commercial hubs had been built or upgraded by human engineers. All of them used human-designed systems. All of them began failing within hours of the withdrawal. On the medical station orbiting Veltos Prime, Dr. Hyunwoo Nam walked through the corridors one last time. Behind him came 63 human doctors and nurses, pulling their personal belongings in hover cases. Alien medical staff watched them go with growing fear. A Veltosi doctor ran up to Hyunwoo, her 3 eyes wide with panic. You cannot leave. We have 500 patients in critical care. The neural surgery ward depends on your techniques. We do not know how to do what you do. Hyunwoo stopped walking. His face was sad but firm. For 10 years we tried to teach you. For 10 years your government said there was no need. They said you could learn later. They said human medicine was simple and anyone could do it. But we did not learn, the Veltosi doctor whispered. We relied on you. Yes, Hyunwoo said. You did. Now you will have to figure it out yourselves. He paused at the station exit. We left all our medical records and procedures in your database. Everything we know is there. But knowledge and skill are different things. Good luck. The human medical staff boarded their transport ship. Behind them, alarms began to sound in the critical care unit. A patient was crashing and no one knew how to save them. This scene repeated on 200 worlds where human doctors had filled gaps in alien medical knowledge. Humanity had always been good at seeing patterns, at adapting techniques, at solving problems in new ways. Other species were experts in their own biology, but humans had learned to treat anyone. Now that ability was gone. Commander Bo Rajung stood on the bridge of the destroyer Incheon and watched her fleet assemble. 43 human warships hung in space, their engines glowing as they prepared for the jump home. These were the ships that had patrolled the Outer Rim for 12 years, protecting Union trade routes from pirates and raiders. Her communication officer looked up from his console. Ma'am, we are receiving urgent messages from the Rim colonial governments. They are asking us to stay. They are offering money, resources, anything we want. Tell them our orders are clear, Bora said. All human military assets return to Earth space immediately. They say the pirates will attack within days. They say they cannot defend themselves. Bora felt a moment of sympathy. She had friends on those worlds. But orders were orders, and more importantly, those orders were right. Then they should have thought of that before treating us like servants. Jump the fleet. Space bent and twisted as the human warships vanished. Behind them, the Outer Rim colonies waited in the darkness, suddenly very aware of how small and vulnerable they were. Within a week, the pirate raids began. Within 2 weeks, 3 colonies had been sacked. Within a month, the Krillek swarms, sensing weakness, began their advance. In the core worlds, the Union leadership still believed everything would be fine. The humans were gone, but so what? They would adapt. They would find new solutions. How hard could it be? Engineer Soo Jin Beck sat in her apartment on Earth, drinking tea and watching the news feeds from Union space. Her assistant, a young man named Chan Woo Im, sat across from her with a data pad. The casualty reports are coming in, Chan Woo said quietly. 4,000 dead in the Outer Rim raids. Medical facilities across 50 worlds are overwhelmed. Trade has dropped by 30%. It has only been 3 weeks, Soo-jin said. It will get worse. Do you feel guilty? Soo-jin considered the question. No. We tried to be partners. They insisted on treating us as tools. Tools can be put down. That is what we did. On her screen, a Union news broadcast showed the Valkyrian ambassador giving a speech. He stood proud and confident, his scales gleaming. The human departure is a minor inconvenience. The Union is strong. We will overcome this small challenge easily. Soo-jin changed the channel. Another feed showed a medical station where patients lay in beds, suffering from a plague that human doctors had been controlling. Without those doctors, the disease was spreading. Another channel showed Trade Station 31, where ships floated dead in space because the docking computers would not respond. Engineers in environment suits tried to manually connect fuel lines and supply tubes, a process that used to take minutes but now took days. Another channel showed the Outer Rim, where a colony burned. The pirates had come in the night and there were no human ships to stop them. Change it back to the Valkyrian ambassador, Soo-jin said. Chan Woo switched channels. The ambassador was still talking, still confident. The humans think we need them. They think we cannot survive without them. They are wrong. We built this union. We are stronger than one insignificant species. Soo-jin turned off the screen. He believes what he is saying. That is the sad part. He genuinely does not understand. Understand what? That infrastructure is invisible until it fails. That skilled labor cannot be replaced overnight. That when you rely on someone for a critical function but refuse to respect them, you are building a trap for yourself. She set down her tea. The Union did not just lose human soldiers and doctors and engineers. They lost the people who made everything work smoothly. They took us for granted, and now they are learning what that means. Researcher Jae-hwan Kang entered the apartment, his face tired but satisfied. It is done. All human research data has been purged from Union servers. All collaborative projects are ended. All shared technology has been locked with biometric security. They cannot even access the documentation now. How long before they reverse engineer it? Chanwu asked. Years, Jaehwan said. Maybe decades. Some of it never. We did not just build things for them. We maintained them, updated them, fixed them when they broke. Without that ongoing support, the technology will degrade. In 6 months, half of it will be unreliable. In a year, most of it will be useless. And then, Chanwu asked. Sujin smiled grimly. And then they will beg us to come back. But we will not. Or if we do, it will be on our terms. Across human space, the withdrawal continued. Every human came home. Every station closed. Every ship returned. It was the largest coordinated movement of people in history, and it happened with smooth efficiency because humans were very good at organization. On Earth, Ambassador Daewon Park stood in the command center and watched the reports flow in. Hana Kim stood beside him. Any regrets? She asked. None, he said. They had 15 years to do the right thing. They chose cruelty and exploitation instead. Now they face the consequences. The casualty numbers are rising. I know. That is terrible. But those deaths are on the Union's hands, not ours. We offered partnership. They wanted slaves. We offered equality. They wanted servants. They made their choice. Hana nodded. The people will suffer more than the leaders. Yes, that is always how it works. But perhaps the people will remember who caused this. Perhaps next time they will choose leaders who understand that respect is not weakness. The screens showed a galaxy in growing chaos, but they also showed something else. Human space was calm. Human trade was expanding. Human colonies were thriving. Without the Union's taxes and restrictions, without the constant demands and disrespect, humanity was free to build something better. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Humans had been holding everything together quietly, thanklessly for years. Now they were gone and everything was falling apart. The real question was, what would the galaxy do about it? 6 months had passed since the humans walked away. The Galactic Union was dying, though its leaders refused to see it yet. The Veltos plague started on a small agricultural world in the Veltos system. At first it was just a few farmers with fever and coughing. Within a week it was 1,000 people. Within 2 weeks every hospital on the planet was full. Within 3 weeks the disease had spread to 6 other worlds in the system. Dr. Hyejin Seo sat in her office on Earth, watching the death toll climb on her monitor. She had spent 5 years on Veltos Prime, working with local doctors to contain outbreaks exactly like this one. She knew the disease. She knew how to stop it. But she was on Earth and Veltos Prime was very far away. Her assistant knocked on the door. Doctor, the Union Medical Authority is on the line. They want to speak with you. Hyejin accepted the call. A Veltosi official appeared on her screen, his 3 eyes rimmed with red from lack of sleep. Dr. Seo, please. We need your help. The plague is out of control. We have lost over 2 million people. Our doctors do not know what to do. Where are the protocols I left? Hyejin asked. I spent a year writing detailed procedures for exactly this situation. We have them, but reading instructions and doing the work are different things. We need you. We need your team. Hyejin felt a deep sadness. I would come immediately. You know I would. But I need authorization from the Union Council. They must formally request our assistance and acknowledge that human medical expertise has value. The official's face fell. They will never do that. The Valkyrian and Mothrek delegations say it would show weakness. They say we can handle this ourselves. Then I am sorry, Hyejin said quietly. There is nothing I can do, the call ended. Hyejin turned off her monitor. She could not watch anymore. Pride was killing millions, and there was nothing she could do about it. Trader Dong-hyun had spent 20 years traveling the Union, buying and selling goods between dozens of species. He spoke 17 languages. He understood 100 cultures. He knew which species valued punctuality and which saw it as rude. He knew which negotiations required gifts and which ones were insulted by them. He knew how to make deals that satisfied everyone. Now he was back on Earth, running a small trading company that operated only in human space. He was successful, but sometimes he thought about his old routes, his old contacts, his old life. His former business partner, a Grelic named Vosh, called him one day. The alien appeared on the screen looking desperate. Dong-hyun, my friend. I am ruined. The trade routes are collapsing. No one trusts anyone anymore. The Valkyrian merchants insult the Mothrek. The Mothrek cheat the smaller species, everyone argues and nothing moves. You need a mediator, Dong-hyun said. Someone who understands everyone and whom everyone trusts. Yes. Exactly, will you come back? I cannot, Vosh, I am not permitted in Union space anymore. Remember, humans withdrew, but I need you. The whole sector needs people like you. The humans were the glue that held our trade networks together. Without you, everything is falling apart. Dong-hyun felt sorry for his friend, but he could not help him. I am sorry, Vosh, but this is what your government chose. They wanted us gone. Now we are gone. After the call ended, Dong-hyun sat quietly. He had tried to explain this to Union officials years ago. He had told them that human traders were not just merchants. They were translators, mediators, and bridge builders. They made trade work between species that did not understand each other, but the Union had not listened. They thought trading was simple. They were learning it was not. Admiral Young-Soo Han watched the satellite feeds from the outer rim with growing horror. 14 worlds had fallen to the Krillak swarms in the last month. Billions of beings were fleeing their homes. The insectoid warriors moved from planet to planet like locusts, consuming everything in their path. His tactical officer pointed to the map. Sir, the Union fleet is trying to mount a defense here, but they are losing. Without our ships providing reconnaissance and coordination, they cannot fight effectively. Young-Soo nodded. He had commanded the Outer Rim Defense Force for 8 years. He knew every tactical challenge, every weak point, every strategy that worked against the Krillak. The Union commanders did not. They were brave, but they did not have the experience or the coordination. His communication console lit up. An emergency frequency. He accepted it. A Velkiran military commander appeared, his scales dulled from stress. Admiral Han, I am requesting immediate military assistance. The Krillak have broken through our lines. 3 more worlds will fall within days. Please send your fleet. Young-Soo felt a moment of temptation. He was a soldier. His instinct was to help. But then he remembered the council chamber, the laughter, the contempt. He remembered being told that humans were not real warriors. He remembered being told that any species could do what humans did. Commander, I am no longer part of the Union military. You dismissed human military capability as insignificant. You said any species could patrol the rim. I assume you have found suitable replacements. The commander's face showed desperation. We were wrong. I admit it. We were wrong, please. Innocent people are dying. Yes, they are. That is terrible. But the people who decided to remove human military protection are not the ones dying, are they? The leaders who insulted us sit safe in their core worlds while the rim burns. Perhaps they should have considered the consequences before they acted. Young-Soo ended the call. He felt no satisfaction, only weariness. War was always ugly, and the innocent always suffered most. Engineer Kyung-Soo Shin compiled his weekly report on Union infrastructure failures. The numbers were staggering. 40% of Union stations had life support issues. The faster-than-light communication network was degrading, with messages taking longer and longer to transmit. Power grids across 100 worlds were becoming unstable. His colleague, a young woman named Yoonji Lee, read over his shoulder. This is worse than we predicted. Much worse, Kyung-Soo agreed. The Union did not just use our technology. They became dependent on it. They stopped training their own engineers because we were always there to fix problems. Now those problems are cascading. How long before total collapse? Some systems are already gone. Others have maybe a year. The quantum communication network will fail completely within 6 months. After that, the Union will fragment. Worlds will lose contact with each other. It will be like going back to the Dark Ages. Yoonji looked troubled. Should we help them? Kyung-Soo thought about that. Do you remember what the Mothrek delegate said? That we should be grateful they let us live on the edges of their great union? That we were tools to be used? I remember. Tools do not have feelings or opinions. Tools do not need respect or fair treatment. The Union wanted us to be tools. So we stopped being tools. We put ourselves down and walked away. If they want us back, they need to treat us as partners, not property. The emergency council session was called after the Veltos death toll reached 5 million. The chancellor stood before the assembly, his confidence finally shaken. Around him, the great powers of the Union argued and blamed each other. This is the Velkiran's fault, a Mothrek delegate shouted. They insisted we did not need the humans. You agreed with us, the Velkiran ambassador shot back. Do not pretend you are innocent. You wanted access to human technology without paying human workers. Now we all suffer. The chancellor called for order. Assigning blame does not help us. We need solutions. The plague is spreading. Trade is collapsing. The rim is falling. We are losing control. An elderly delegate from a small species stood. Her voice was quiet but clear. I warned you. 10 years ago, I stood in this chamber and said we should treat the humans fairly. I said we were taking them for granted. I said we were becoming dependent on their skills without acknowledging their value. No one listened. The chamber fell silent. The humans were not spectacular, she continued. They did not have the fastest ships or the biggest guns or the oldest history. But they were reliable. They were competent. They showed up and did the work. They fixed things, healed people, kept trade moving, fought off threats. They did it all quietly without demanding glory, and we treated them like servants. What do you suggest? The Chancellor asked. Apologize. Officially and publicly, offer them full membership with equal rights. Admit we were wrong. The Valkyrian ambassador stood. Never. The Valkyrian Imperium does not apologize to inferior species. Then the Valkyrian Imperium will fall, the old delegate said. Because the humans are not coming back without respect. And without the humans, this union is finished. She sat down. Around her, the arguing resumed louder than before. But she had said what needed to be said. The truth was out. The Galactic Union had been held together by people they had treated as lesser. Those people were gone, and the whole structure was collapsing without them. Far away on Earth, Ambassador Daewon Park received the transcript of the council session. He read it carefully, then filed it away. The Union was learning. But learning and changing were different things. He would wait and see if they truly understood, or if this was just panic talking. Either way, humanity was done begging for respect. If the Union wanted them back, the Union would have to earn it. While the Galactic Union burned, humanity bloomed. Free Trader Sun Heon stood on the observation deck of New Hope Station and watched the ships come and go. The station floated in neutral space far from Union territory, and it was always busy. Ships from 100 species docked here every day, not Union species but the independents, the small nations, the worlds that had never joined the Union because they did not want to be controlled. Now they all came to trade with humans. Sun He's assistant, a young man named Woojin Lim, brought her the daily reports. 32 new trade agreements signed today. The Kalthari republics want to purchase our agricultural equipment. The free worlds of Deneb are asking about medical supplies. The stellar communes need ship repair technology. And they can pay? Sun He asked. Yes, all of them. The new currency system is working perfectly. Everyone trusts human credit because we honor our contracts. Sun He smiled. For years, she had operated within Union rules. Union taxes, Union restrictions, Union quotas. Now she was free to trade however she wanted with whoever she wanted, and business was better than it had ever been. How much revenue this quarter? She asked. Woojin checked his datapad. 300% increase over the same period last year. Sun He nodded in satisfaction. The Union said we could not survive without them. They were wrong. We are thriving. At the Human Research Complex on Mars, Dr. Woojin Lim made history. His team had been working on faster-than-light travel for a decade, always limited by Union regulations that required them to share every discovery immediately. Now, with no restrictions, they had made a breakthrough. The phase drive works, Woojin announced to his team. We can travel 3 times faster than standard FTL. We can cross the galaxy in weeks instead of months. His colleague, physicist Yoon Young Park, pulled up her own research. And I have completed the quantum shielding. Our ships will be nearly impossible to target with conventional weapons. The energy just slides off the shields like water. The two scientists looked at each other with satisfaction. For years, they had given their discoveries to the Union, watching other species get rich and powerful from human ideas. Now those ideas stayed human. The technology was theirs alone. Should we publish the research? A junior scientist asked. Share it with the galaxy? No, Woojin said firmly. We tried sharing. We tried being generous. The Union took everything and gave us nothing but contempt. This time, human technology stays human. If others want it, they can negotiate for it fairly. Yoon Young agreed. Knowledge shared without respect is knowledge stolen. We will not make that mistake again. Within months, the new technologies transformed human space. Ships moved faster. Defenses grew stronger. Human colonies expanded into systems that had been too far away to reach efficiently. The galaxy watched with growing unease as humanity leaped ahead technologically. Fleet Admiral Seung-hwan Ryu walked through the shipyards orbiting Earth and felt pride in what he saw. The Terran defense fleet was growing rapidly. New destroyers, cruisers, and carriers filled the construction bays. Each one used the latest technology, the fastest drives, the strongest shields. His chief of staff, Commander Hana Kim, walked beside him. The fleet will be twice the size by year's end. With the new phase drive, we can respond to any threat in human space within hours. Are we building too much? Seung-hwan asked. Some people say we are becoming militaristic. Hana shook her head. We are being realistic. The Union laughed at our military for years. They said we were not real warriors. But we kept the Outer Rim safe for 12 years. We know how to fight and we know how to win. Now we make sure no one ever threatens human worlds again. Seung-hwan watched a new carrier launch from its construction bay, its hull gleaming in the sunlight. We do not seek war. No, Hana agreed. But we will never again depend on others for our security. We learned that lesson. On Earth, author Mi-young Kwon published her new book, The Awakening: How Humanity Found Its Voice. It became an instant bestseller, not just among humans but across independent space. Aliens bought human books, watched human films, listened to human music. They were fascinated by this species that had stood up to the mighty Union and walked away. Why do you think our culture is so popular now? Mi-young's publisher asked her. Mi-young considered the question. Because we represent something the galaxy has not seen in a long time: successful resistance. Most species joined the Union out of fear or necessity. They bent the knee. They compromised. They accepted whatever terms were offered. We said no, we left, and we survived. That gives others hope. Hope for what? Hope that they too can be free. Hope that the Union's way is not the only way. Hope that dignity matters more than safety. Her book was translated into 70 languages. On 100 worlds, people read about humanity's choice and wondered if they could make the same one. Navigator Chan-woo Im piloted his survey ship through uncharted space. Behind the known territories of the Union, beyond the mapped regions, there were still unknown systems waiting to be discovered. The Union had stopped exploring centuries ago, content with what they had. Humans had no such contentment. Captain, his science officer called out, I am reading a system with 7 planets, 3 potentially habitable. Rich mineral deposits on 2 of them. No intelligent life detected. Chan-woo marked the system on his charts. We will send a full survey team. If the planets are suitable, we can establish new colonies. This was the 15th system he had discovered this year. Humanity was expanding, not into Union territory but beyond it, into spaces no one else had claimed. There were thousands of stars out here, and humans were eager to explore them all. On Earth, Ambassador Dae-won Park sat with the Terran Council, reviewing requests from alien governments. Since the withdrawal, 36 independent species had asked to establish formal relations with humanity. 5 had requested defense treaties. 12 wanted trade agreements. 8 asked for technology-sharing partnerships. What about the Union? A council member asked. Any word from them? Dae-won shook his head. Official silence. But we receive private messages every day. Individual governments begging for help. Corporations offering money for access to our markets. Military commanders asking for strategic advice. All unofficial, all desperate. Do we respond? To individuals, yes. We are not cruel. If a world genuinely needs help and asks respectfully, we provide humanitarian aid. But we make no deals with the Union itself. Not until they officially acknowledge what they did and offer real change. Will they? Dae-won looked out the window at the blue earth below. Eventually, when the pain becomes too great. When enough of their people suffer, when the leaders finally understand that pride is a luxury they can no longer afford. He paused, but we will not wait for them. We are building something new, something better. With or without the Union, the Terran Council agreed. Humanity would extend hands in friendship to those who offered respect. They would provide aid to those in genuine need, but they would never again accept second-class status. They would never again compromise their dignity for the comfort of others. Trader Dong-hyun met with a group of independent merchants from 20 different species. They gathered on New Hope Station to discuss forming a new trade network, one based on human principles, fair contracts, equal partnership, and mutual benefit. The Union was built on hierarchy, Dong Hyun explained. Big species dominate small ones. Strong nations exploit weak ones. That is why it is failing. We propose something different. In our network, every member has an equal voice. Every species is respected. Every contract is fair. A small reptilian merchant raised her hand. Why should we trust humans? How do we know you will not become like the Union once you have power? Dong Hyun nodded. That is a fair question. Here is my answer. We do not want power over you. We want partnership with you. We walked away from the Union because they wanted to control us. Why would we turn around and do the same to others? That would make us hypocrites. Another merchant spoke up. The Union says you will fail. They say your system is naive and unrealistic. The Union says many things, Dong Hyun replied with a smile. They said we would come crawling back within a year. Has that happened? They said we could not survive without them. Are we surviving? They said their way was the only way. But look around this station. Look at the prosperity here. Look at the trade, the cooperation, the respect. This is what happens when people treat each other as equals. One by one, the independent merchants signed agreements to join the new network. They called it the Independent Trade Alliance, and within 6 months it rivaled the Union in commercial activity. On Mars, in the research complex, Dr. Ji-Woo Choi met with her team. They had been analyzing the galactic situation, using computer models to predict what would happen next. The Union has maybe 2 years before complete collapse, she told them. Their economy is in freefall. Their military cannot contain the Krillak advance. Their infrastructure is degrading faster than they can repair it. They will fracture into regional governments, possibly with civil wars in some territories. And humanity? Someone asked. Ji-Woo pulled up another set of projections. We will become the dominant power in this region of space, not through conquest but through success. Other species will align with us for protection and prosperity. Within a decade, we will have more allies than the 18 months after humanity walked away. The Galactic Union faced its day of reckoning. The Krillak swarms had consumed 23 worlds in the outer rim and were now pressing toward the core territories. Billions of refugees fled inward, overwhelming planets that could not feed or house them. The Union's fractured military fought bravely but ineffectively, each species following its own strategies, none coordinating with the others. They were losing badly. In the Grand Palace of the Valkyrian Imperium, military commanders gathered in emergency session. Their supreme commander stood before a holographic map showing the Krillak advance. Red markers spread across the map like blood and water. We need help, the commander said bluntly. Our forces cannot stop them alone. The other Union species are too weak or too divided. We must request human military assistance. The room erupted in protest. The Valkyrian had been humanity's loudest critics. They had laughed when the humans left. They had insisted the Union was stronger without Earth. Now they were admitting they were wrong, and it hurt their pride deeply. We cannot beg humans for help, an old general said. We are the Valkyrian Imperium. We are warriors. We have conquered systems and built an empire that lasted 20,000 years. And that empire will end in our lifetime if we do nothing, the commander replied. Pride is worthless if we are all dead. Send an envoy to Earth. Now. 3 days later, Ambassador Jun Ho Chung received the Valkyrian delegation in his office on Earth. He did not stand when they entered. He did not offer them seats. He simply waited. The Valkyrian envoy, a proud warrior with golden scales, struggled to speak. Finally, the words came out. We require military assistance. The Krillak swarms threaten our core worlds. We are willing to pay. Name your price. Junho looked at him for a long moment. Do you remember what you said 18 months ago? You said humans were not real warriors. You said any species could patrol the outer rim. You said we were insignificant. The envoy's scales darkened with shame. I remember. Then tell me, if we are such insignificant warriors, why are you here? Because we were wrong. Say it again, Junho said coldly. Louder. I want to make sure I heard correctly. The envoy's voice strengthened. We were wrong. About everything. We underestimated humanity. We dismissed your capabilities. We treated you with contempt when you deserved respect. I personally apologize for my species' behavior. Junho nodded slowly. I accept your personal apology. However, I cannot help you. The Terran Defense Fleet operates only in human space. We are not part of the Union military. We have no obligation to fight your wars. But innocent people are dying. Yes, they are. That is terrible. But those people were also silent when your government insulted us. They benefited from our work while their leaders treated us like servants. Now they suffer from the consequences of their leaders' choices. That is tragic, but it is not our responsibility. The envoy's face showed desperation. What do you want? What would it take for humans to help us? I want nothing, Junho said. I am not negotiating. I am simply explaining reality. You decided humans were not worth respecting. You decided to remove us from your defense strategy. You made those choices. Now live with them. The Velkarin delegation left Earth empty-handed. Behind them, their empire continued to burn. On the financial networks, panic spread like wildfire. Analyst Sangwoo Bei watched the Union credit collapse in real time. 34 member species faced complete economic failure. 3 had already descended into civil war as different factions fought over dwindling resources. The Union's currency had lost 70% of its value. No one trusted it anymore. Meanwhile, the Independent Trade Alliance's human-backed currency became the new standard across the galaxy. Worlds that wanted to trade needed human credit, and human credit required following human rules. Fair contracts, equal treatment, honest dealings. How long before total economic collapse? Sangwoo's assistant asked. It has already happened, Sangwoo replied. What we are watching now is just the final spasms. The Union economy is dead. It will take years before anyone admits it. But it is over. Then came the scandal that shattered what little trust remained in the Union. Investigative journalist Yeon Hee Song had spent months digging through leaked documents and secret files. What she found shocked even her. For 20 years, the Mothrek Collective had been stealing human technology, patenting it as their own, and selling it to other Union species at massive profit. Humans had shared their innovations freely with the Union, trusting that the partnership was mutual. The Mothrek had taken those innovations, changed small details, registered them under Mothrek patent law, and charged other species for access. They had made trillions in profit from stolen human work. Yeon-hee published her investigation across every major news network. The evidence was undeniable. Design documents, internal memos, financial records. The Mothrek had systematically robbed humanity for 2 decades. The reaction was explosive. Dozens of Union species demanded refunds and reparations. The Mothrek refused, claiming everything was legal under their interpretation of Union law. Several species withdrew from the Union entirely, unwilling to remain in an organization that permitted such theft. The Union fractured further. On the refugee world of New Veltos, humanitarian coordinator Myung-Soo Kang faced an impossible situation. 3 billion refugees crowded onto a planet designed for 1 billion. Food shortages were critical. Disease was spreading. Infrastructure was breaking down. People were dying by the thousands every day. Myung-Soo had authorization from the Terran Council to provide humanitarian aid, but with strict conditions. He stood before a crowd of local officials and explained the terms. Humanity will provide food, medicine, and engineering support. We will help you build the infrastructure you need. But first, your government must issue a formal statement acknowledging that humanity was mistreated by the Union and deserves equal respect. An official stood up angrily. You are extorting us. People are dying and you make demands. Myung-Soo's voice remained calm but firm. We are not extorting anyone. We are setting terms for partnership. For years we helped Union worlds without asking for anything except basic respect. We never received it. Now if you want our help, you must acknowledge your past wrongs. That is not extortion. That is dignity. But people will die while we debate this. People are already dying because of choices your leaders made. We did not create this crisis. Your Union did. We are offering a solution, but we will not compromise our dignity to provide it. The choice is yours. Some worlds accepted the terms immediately. Their leaders issued public apologies, acknowledging that they had benefited from human work while treating humans poorly. These worlds received aid within hours. Food, medical supplies, and human engineers arrived to help rebuild. Other worlds refused, clinging to pride even as their people suffered. Myung-Soo felt terrible for the innocent victims, but he did not waver. Humanity had learned a hard lesson. Helping people who do not respect you only enables their leaders to continue exploiting them. Sometimes you had to let things break completely before real change could happen. The Emergency Union Council convened in a half-empty chamber. So many species had withdrawn that the Great Assembly now looked sparse and sad. The remaining members sat in their seats, looking at each other with fear and uncertainty. The Chancellor stood before them, his voice heavy with defeat. We have received reports from every sector. The economy is in collapse. The military is losing ground daily. Infrastructure is failing across 100 worlds. Refugee crises overwhelm our capacity to respond. The Union is dying. A long silence followed his words. Finally, an elderly delegate stood. We must ask the humans to return. We must offer them full membership, equal status, everything they originally wanted. They will refuse, the Chancellor said. I have read Ambassador Park's statements. Humanity is no longer interested in joining the Union. They are building something new, something better, and it is working. Then what do we do? The Chancellor looked around the chamber at the proud species who had ruled the galaxy for so long. We do what we should have done years ago. We admit we were wrong. We apologize sincerely. We ask, not demand, and we accept whatever answer they give us. And if they say no, then the Union ends and we face the consequences of our arrogance. We had 15 years to do the right thing. We chose cruelty instead. Now we pay the price. On Earth, Ambassador Daewon Park read the official message from the Union Council. It was everything humans had asked for 18 months ago. Full membership. Equal voting rights. Fair trade terms. Technology sharing based on mutual benefit. Even preferential treatment in some areas as acknowledgement of past wrongs. His staff gathered around him, waiting for his response. Well, Hanakim asked. This is what we wanted. Daewon read the message again, then set it down. It was what we wanted. Past tense. Before we learned that we do not need them. Before we built something better. Before we discovered that we are stronger alone than we ever were as their servants. So what do we tell them? Daewon composed his response carefully. He wrote, The Terran Council thanks the Galactic Union for their offer. We acknowledge the effort required to